In sequential construct, the program statement are executed one after another in a sequential format. If condition is true, then only the statement will execute. If condition is false, then it will come out from the loop. For the sake, it can be called as one-way branching. Inside one if statement, if you have one more if statement, then it can be called as nested if statement. Welcome back to one and all. Myself, Vasanta, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Today I want to start with third session of problem solving methodology. Whereas in the previous session, you come to know regarding what do you mean by flowchart, which are the symbols used in flowchart, and how to write algorithm as well as flowchart for given problem with that analysis of algorithm. Regarding that already you came to know in the previous session. Whereas on today's session, you will come to know regarding what do you mean by programming construct. Under that, you will study regarding sequential construct. That means it's the ability to execute the statement one after the another without any deviation. Then selection. Here the name itself suggesting it is a process of selecting the statement depending upon the requirement. Under that, you will study regarding simple if else if, nested, switch statement, with that iteration statement. That is, it's the ability of the programming language to execute the statement again and again, repeatedly. Whereas in sequential, one after the another. Whereas under selection, whichever statement we want, that we can able to select. Where it may be simple if else statement, or if else if statement, or it may be switch statement, or it may be nested statement. Then iteration means it's the ability of the programming language to execute the statement again and again until some condition is satisfied. Where under iteration it may be while loop, do while loop, for loop. The difference between that, regarding that, you will come to know on today's session. First, what do you mean by programming construct? A programming construct is a statement in a program how exactly it is executing, on which methodology it will go to executing. It's the ability of the programming language to execute the statement, whether it may be in sequential format, or it may be in selection format, or it may be in iterative format, iterative or iteration format. Whereas when they come on selection, there we have if statement, if else statement, if else if statement, nested statement, and one more is switch statement. Under selection, we have if statement, if else statement, if else if statement, nested statement, as well as switch statement. Whereas iteration, under iteration, you may going to get while loop, do while loop, and it may be for loop. Iterative is the ability of the programming language to execute again and again, repeatedly. Now one by one we'll discuss. First we'll discuss about sequential construct. What do you mean by sequential? The name itself suggesting that one after the another, all the statement here it will going to execute without any deviation. First it will execute the first statement, after executing the second one, then third one, then fourth one by one. Without any deviation, all the statements here it will going to execute. And if I want to go back, that is also not possible here. If I want to take any deviation, that is also not possible here. In sequential construct, the program statement are executed one after another in a sequential format. It is the ability of the programming language to execute the statement one by one after the another. There is no any backward or forward reference here. Exactly, if I want to go back or if I want to go forward, that is not possible. If I want to jump to statement, that is also not possible here. For example, if you observe this flowchart, first only one single entry we have. First statement 1 will execute, after that statement 2, then statement 3, statement 4, then exit or single exit we are getting here. There is no any deviation here. Next, when you come on selection construct, the name itself suggesting selection. Whichever statement we want, that statement we can select depending upon our requirement. Depending upon our condition, we can able to select the statement. It is the ability of the programming language to execute the statement depending upon the condition, requirement. That is, it is known as conditional construct. This structure helps the programmer to take appropriate decision. Whichever decision we want, we can take here. When we come on selection, under that we have simple if, or you can say it as if also, if else statement, if else if, nested if, as well as multiple selection construct. Or this multiple selection construct is also called as switch statement. Whereas simple if can be called as one-way branching. If else can be called as two-way branching. If else if can be called as multiple way branching. Multiple way branching. Whereas here the switch statement can also be called as multiple selection construct. Now one by one we'll discuss. First we will move on to simple if statement. Here the statements will execute if the condition is true. If the condition is false, then it just come out from the loop here. Simple if the condition is true, then only it will going to execute the true statement. Otherwise, it will come out from the loop here. It is the ability of the programming language to execute the statement. It will going to execute the true statement when there is a condition satisfied. If there is no condition satisfied, then it come out from the loop here. If you observe the syntax, here first if test condition, whatever condition we have, that it will test here. If this condition satisfied, the statement will execute. If condition is false, it just come out from the loop here. We are not going to get any alternative statements here. Here we can open the bracket and here we can able to close the bracket when we have multiple statement. If you have only one statement, then no need of bracket here. Simple if statement. Where if you observe the flow chart here, first if test condition, if it is true, then statement here it will going to execute. If it is true here, then this statement will go to execute. If it is false, then it just will come out from the loop here. It will to execute the second statement. For example, if I want to display the result, pass or fail, on that case, if marks is, only one subject I will take, if marks is greater than 35, then it will print it as pass. Here we are not going to get any alternative statement. What will be the else part here? Whenever you have if condition, on that time you are not supposed to put any semicolon because here it is applying the condition, that's why. Next one, when you come on if else statement, the name itself suggests that here for true also, if the condition is true, then it will go to execute the true statement. If the condition is false, then it will go to execute the false statement. For true also we have some statement. For false also, there will be some alternative statements. Here, first, the test condition is tested. Whatever conditions we have, that first it will check. If the test condition is true, if it is true, then statement 1 will executed. If it is true, then this statement here it is going to execute. Otherwise, statement 2 will be executed. If this condition not satisfied, if it is false, then second statement here it will going to execute. This is also called as two-way branching. Why it is called as two-way branching? Because here for true also we have some statement, for false also we have some statement. Two alternative path here we have. That's why it is called as two-way branching. Whereas in simple if, it also be called as one-way branching because if condition is true, then only the statement will execute. If condition is false, then it will come out from the loop. For the sake, it can be called as one-way branching. If you observe the syntax, first here if test condition, whatever condition we want, that we will write. And if this condition satisfied, then statement 1 will execute. Otherwise, that is else, statement 2 here it is going to execute. For true also we have some statement, for false also we have some statement. If you observe here if test condition is true, statement 1 will execute. If test condition is false, then statement 2 will going to execute. Finally, it will exit. For example, the same thing I here will write. If marks is greater than 35, then it will print that pass. Otherwise, else, it will print that fail. Then here, if you observe here, in the previous case, if the condition is true, then true statement it will go to execute. Whereas here, if the condition is false, then we have alternative statement also. For true also we have some statement, for false also we have some statement. That's why it is called as two-way branching. Next one, we have if, else, if. That means multiple conditions are there here. If first condition not satisfied, then it will check for second condition. If second condition is also not satisfied, then it will check for third condition. Like that, all the conditions here it will check. That is up to nth condition it will check. If all the conditions are false, then finally it will go to execute the default value. If you observe, this structure helps the programmer to decide execution of a statement from multiple statements based on the condition. Whichever conditions we are given, depending upon that, the statement here it will go to execute. There will be more than one condition to test here. Whereas in simple if also, we have only one condition but only one statement. In if else also, we have only one condition but two statements are there. But here, when we come on if else if, multiple conditions, multiple statements are there. It is also called as multiple way branching. Why it is called as multiple way branching? Multiple conditions are there, multiple paths are there. That's why it is called as multiple way branching. If you observe the syntax as well as flow chart, see here in the syntax, first if condition 1. If first condition satisfy, then statement 1 it will go to execute. If this condition not satisfied, then it will come to the else part. Else, if one more condition here it will take, that is condition 2. If this second condition satisfy, then statement 2 it will go to execute. Then else, the finally last statement, third statement, one by one, all the statement will execute. If all the statements are not satisfied, then finally it will execute the default value. If you observe the flow chart, first here if condition, first condition, if it is true, then statement 1 will execute. If it is false, then it will check for the second condition. If second condition is true, then next statement will execute. Then second condition is also not satisfied. It will move on to up to the last condition. See here we written last up to n. Till that it will move. That is up to the last condition it will check. If the last condition is true, then statement n it will go to execute. If all the conditions are not satisfied, then finally it will display the default statement. Finally everything will come out from the loop here. Whereas here in simple if only one way, in if else two way, whereas here multiple way branching. Yes, here if you observe the example, see if marks is greater than or equals to 85, then it will print that distinction, first condition. If this is the thing, then it will display distinction. Else, it will check for the next condition. Else, if marks is greater than or equals to 60, then it will print that first class. Else, it will check for the next condition. Marks is greater than or equals to 50, then second class. Then once again, else, if marks is greater than or equals to 35, then it will display pass. If all the condition not satisfy, finally it will display the default value, that is fail. Finally else, the default value here it will display. That's why it is called as multiple way branching. Next we will move on nested if statement. Whereas nested if means inside one if statement, if you have one more if statement, then it can be called as nested if statement. Inside one if statement, if you have one more if statement, then nested if statement. In the same way, nested for statement also there. Whereas inside one for loop, if you have one more for loop, then it can be called as nested for loop. Whereas here, under nested if, one if statement within another if statement. Such if statement is called it as nested if statement. See, if you observe here in the general syntax, first if condition 1, first condition here it will check. If first condition 1, if condition 1, then with that, if it is true, here one more condition here it will check, condition 2. Then if this one also true, then finally statement, here in this example, statement 1 will execute. Otherwise the else part, statement 2 here it will going to execute. Then else, here, then it check for the one more condition, that is condition 3. Here also if it is true, then statement 3 here it will going to execute. If it is false, then statement 4 it will going to execute. Finally, everything will come out from the loop here. It means that inside one if statement, if you have one more if statements, then it can be called it as nested if statement. If you observe the syntax as well as example here, see, first condition if it is true, then it will check for second condition. If second condition is also true, then statement 1 it will going to execute. If the second condition is false, then statement 2 it will going to execute. Here, if first condition is false and then second condition is not satisfied, then it will come to check for the condition 3. Here, if this condition is true, statement 3 it will going to execute. If the condition is false, then statement 4 it will going to execute. Finally, everything will come out from the loop. Here, for example, if I want to find largest of 3 numbers, then how to write? First, if A is greater than B, here we will write. Here in this condition, A is greater than B. 3 numbers I want to consider, whereas in the first case, A is greater than B, here we are given. If A is greater than C, then one more condition, if A is greater than C. If this is the true thing, what is output? A is greatest. Otherwise, the else part here, which one? C is greatest. Then once again, here else part here it will come if B is greater than C. If this is the condition, then if it is true, B here it will going to execute. Otherwise, C finally it will going to execute. It means that inside one if statement, if you have one more if statement, then it can be called as nested if statement. Next, we will come on multiple selection construct, or it is also called as switch case or switch statement. If there are more than 2 alternatives to be selected, multiple selection construct is used here. If you observe the syntax, first switch, inside the bracket, whatever expression you want, whatever condition you want, that you can write. Then here, this switch statement, all the statements are written inside the forever bracket. First, if case label 1, if it is satisfied, then statement 1 it will going to execute, then break. Then, if case label is 2, then statement, next statement 2, here it is going to execute, then break. Then like that all the statement, if case label is n, then statement n here it is going to execute, then break. Like that all the statement will execute if depending upon the label. If all the labels, all the condition not satisfy, then finally the default statement here it will going to execute. If you observe here we are used break statement. What is the use of this break statement? This break statement helps to come out from the loop. For example, if label, case label, if it is equals to 1, only this statement it will going to execute, then it will come out from the loop. Or if label, if it is 2, only second statement it will going to execute, then it has to come out from the loop. It means that there is a difference between break as well as exit command. Whereas break command is used to come out from the loop, whereas exit command is used to come out from the program itself. Whereas break is used to come out from the loop, whereas exit command is used to come out from the program itself. After executing the first statement, it has to come out. Or if say label, if it is equals to 3, then statement 3 it will go to execute, then afterwards it has to come out from the loop. Now if you observe the flowchart, here first condition, if label if it is equals to 1, then statement 1 it will go to execute. If label if it is equals to 2, then second statement here it will go to execute. Like this, all the statement, all the labels here it will check. If label equals n, then statement n it will go to execute. If all the labels are not satisfied, then finally it will go to display the default statement. Finally, everything will come out from the loop. If you observe here, if I not use the break concept, then everything, all the statement, one after the another, it will going to execute here. Now it means that in switch statement, only one conditions are there, but multiple statements are there. But depending upon the label, that particular statement here it will going to execute. After executing that, it has to come out from the loop here. This is regarding switch statement. Then here I am going to write one example. Consider I want to display whether it is a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then after Saturday, what it has to display? It is an invalid date. Here it has to display. For that sake, switch day number I am going to write. Whichever day you want, 1, 2, 3, 4, that you can write. On that, if day here, whatever day number, if I am going to give 1, then it will print it as Sunday, then it has to come out. Otherwise, if it is equals to 2, then it has to print the Monday, then it has to come. If I am going to give 3, then it has to display that. For Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, then it has to come out from the loop. Then if I am going to give the label is 4, then Wednesday, then it has to come out from the loop. In the same way, if I am going to give the day is 5, then it will display Thursday, then it has to come out from the loop. If label, if it is equals to 6, then Friday, then it has to come out from the loop. If I am going to give the day number is 7, then Saturday, then it has to come out from the loop. If I am going to give more than 7, where it may be 8, 9, 10, then what it has to display? It is an invalid number. For Sunday, 1, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Maximum up to 7 number. If I am going to give, then corresponding day it will display. If it is more than 7, finally it will display that it is an invalid number. These are the things you have studied. In the next class, we will explain regarding the iterative statements, that is while loop, do while loop, for loop. What is the difference between while loop, do while loop as well as for loop? How statements are executing here. With that, what are the another name for while loop, do while loop as well as for loop? How exactly the working will take place? Already I told you iteration is nothing but a repetition. How the repetitions will take place. Whereas on today's class you already know that regarding sequential, then selection, under selection, simple if else if, nested as well as switch. Next class we will meet you once again. Thank you for all of you.